Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Sean Aylmer. The tech world, as always, is moving quickly. Artificial intelligence, virtual reality, quantum computing, these are the buzzwords of the last few years. But what are they actually going to mean for consumers, for most of us? We can see the growing presence of AI through platforms like ChatGPT. What about virtual reality? Is this really going to become part of our everyday lives? A lot of it comes down to Apple and whether the tech behemoth has the muscle to make VR an essential tool for consumers. Stephen Fennick is one of Australia's top technology journalists and the editor of techguide.com.au. Stephen, welcome back to Fear and Greed.
Good to be back, Sean. How are you?
I'm very well. Look, I want to talk to you about AI, but before we get there, let's talk. Virtual reality, VR, it's almost old hat now, ever since AI and quantum computing stole the headlines. But what's virtual reality look like at the moment?
Well, the VR industry it's sort of steady as she goes at the moment. There's been a number of headsets over the years, and as you'd imagine, improving constantly. The quality is really high now with VR, and it's been used in all kinds of industries. A lot of people think that it's just a gaming thing. Yeah, that's true, but it's also been adopted by different industries for different training purposes, even design and the car industry, even fashion industry. They're all using VR to look at things a different way, literally look at things, design things in a whole different way, give them like a 3D view of things. But I think it's still hasn't had that cut through. It's not like the smartphone where everyone's got one, use it every day. It's a sort of tool that's become, it's fascinating when you're using it for entertainment and playing a game, but I think the novelty wears off quite quickly. So whether Apple has got the clout to make it a product that customers want to use every day is yet to be seen.
Okay, so tell us about Apple's Vision Pro. What does it offer that Apple hopes will give it that clout?
Yeah, well, I've actually used the Vision Pro. It was announced at the Worldwide Developers Conference last June, in June 23, and I was one of the first people in the world to actually try it. And I've got to say, I've used a lot of VR headsets over the years, and typically Apple, they made a headset that just blew everything else away. Just incredible quality. The experience is remarkable. There were a number of demos where it's like I was sitting on the edge of a lake. It felt like I was there. Wow. There was another virtual reality program, an app with dinosaurs. I was watching sport like I was sitting courtside at a basketball game, at the baseball. I said to them, if I can watch sport like that, take my money right now, I'll watch sport like this every single day. Thing is, though, the VR, they call it a spatial computer. So it's they deliberately didn't put VR AR in the name. It's Vision Pro. They don't want to pigeonhole themselves in any part of that. So it's the spatial computer. You can use it like a computer. You got this virtual keyboard, this massive screen that you can put in front of yourself. The app developers are busily creating apps for it, but is it something that has Apple got the power to make this, to have a sort of similar like iPhone or iPod type cut through, iPad cut through? What's against it, I think, is the price. It's expensive. It's going to cost $6,000 when it comes out here in Australia, probably later this year. It's going to be like that's again going to work against it becoming an everyday product for customers. It's going to be over the years, hopefully it becomes cheaper, but not a bad start. I've heard mixed reviews about it in America and how people aren't using it as much as when they first bought it. There were a lot of customers who took it back before the 14-day, because every Apple product you can take it back, no questions asked after 14 days. A lot of customers who purchased it, they took it back before the end of that fortnight. So there are some customers though that are using it. You see some customers in public using them. That's how it's being seen. So Yet to be really clear how it's going to land in Australia, but I think the more developers get behind it, I think we're going to probably see something pretty special.
What about Meta and the metaverse? Whatever happened to that?
Yeah, Meta Quest 3 is very popular. In fact, Mark Zuckerberg, about a month or two ago, came up with a video comparing the Meta Quest 3 with the Vision Pro, and he basically said that the Meta Quest 3 is better, as you'd expect. And the Meta Quest 3, by the way, is like a seventh of the price.
Right.
So he was sort of saying pound for pound, he thinks the Meta Quest 3 is probably the best option. It's got a much more developed ecosystem. It's been around a bit longer. But the strength of Apple, though, just the quality of the product, the quality of the experience, the strength of that app store behind it, all those developers who are creating apps for all of the Apple platforms, I think it is going to offer a superior experience than the Meta Quest 3.
Stay with me, Stephen. We'll be back in a minute. I'm speaking to tech journalist Stephen Fennick, editor of techguide.com.au. Let's go into AI now. OpenAI has released the latest version of its ChatGPT platform. It's called ChatGPT for Omni. But I mean, I'm interested in what the difference in that is. But have you been surprised by the adoption rates? I reckon within 12 months, people are using this regularly in their workplace.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, I think when we first saw it at the beginning of last year, everyone was thinking, well, I won't have to write another essay in my life. A lot of students were celebrating, and then the education department's banned it, of course. But it became an arms race, though. So ChatGPT, which is heavily invested, Microsoft heavily invested in ChatGPT, that makes up the backbone of their Copilot, which is on Windows 11 at the moment. But it's now Google and Amazon and probably Apple are going to come up with something as well. It's become an arms race. Now, Meta has AI now in every application. You can use AI now on Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram. So it is becoming that sort of tool that I think is going to probably take over search. Google sort of was dominant there. You search for things, you get results instantly. AI is going to finesse that and give different results about the same search, so more in-depth results. But I think, too, it is going to be I look at it more like a ladder to help you get up to where you need to be. Yeah. So if it's going to help you summarize a document, summarize your unread emails, give me ideas on this event that I have to plan. I'm going away to Italy. What should I look at? Give me an itinerary. Those sorts of things, that's just the starting point. We've seen it now, obviously. You can write songs and create images and videos. The power of it is astonishing, what it can do in those areas. It's going to open up a can of worms in terms of who owns those images, that generative AI, who owns that image, who owns that video. Am I okay to use it legally? So there's all those things to talk about as well. But I'm forever the optimist, thinking that this is something that's going to help us. It's going to help us do things better. I remember Steve Jobs years ago when the personal computer was first coming up in the 80s, he called it a bicycle for the mind. He said, if it's going to help us do things a lot better and faster, then this is phase 2 of that as well, or phase 4. We sort of had the PC age, we had the internet age, we've had the smartphone age, now we're in the AI age. So this is the latest of those developments that I think we're going to see some remarkable results in the years ahead.
It's also interesting in AI, you need to prompt it or prime it, I think is the word. You need to give it instructions, just like you do a Google search. You know, the better the search terms you use, the better outcome you get. What I've been amazed with AI is how quickly the product itself has adapted. So I reckon 3 months ago when I used it, it was much harder than when I use it now. Maybe I'm better at it, but still, I think the product is developing really quickly too.
Yeah, I think from both ends, like from you, I think what you said, like how you are talking to it, what you're asking it to do, that is a lot better. We're getting better at that, but it's building and building all the time. It's improving all the time, and that is again goes back to that arms race which is happening between all these big tech companies to be the best. And Apple's got their Worldwide Developers Conference in about a month. And word is they're gonna lean towards Google as the backbone of their AI offerings with their new products and Siri and all these new developments. And because Apple, I've got to say, Apple's probably been a little bit behind all the other companies. Like Microsoft's been on the front foot with this. Google, Apple has sort of they say that we've had AI. Like they call it machine learning. They've had machine learning in their products for quite a while. But that's kind of what I call background AI. They need a foreground AI like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, all these other brands. And if Apple can put their Apple spin on it, Apple's got a really good habit of waving their magic wand over something and making it better than everything else. If they can do that, then the next iPhone or the next Mac OS, iPad OS, or iOS, then I'm expecting something special.
Okay, just before we go, we're running out of time here, Stephen Fenech, but I just do briefly want to mention quantum computing because the Australian government, or Australian governments, actually state and feds, have put in $470 million each, I think, into Psi Quantum, which is a computing organisation trying to create the first quantum computer. How far away are we from a commercially viable quantum computer in layman's terms, in terms I can understand?
Yeah, I think not that close. I think that the way that we're looking now, the current processors are all having added, like I know Apple has got all these extra cores and Intel have these multiple cores as well. They do have now, they've got the CPU, the GPU, but now they've got a section, the neural engines that are powering AI. So we're sort of moving in that direction. Don't think it's going to quite have that quantum power in a consumer laptop just anytime soon, but it's AI is now part of that. All the processors that are powering all the latest laptops that have been released this year have that added little bit of grunt that can help handle all that AI processing on device. Yeah. I think that's critical. A lot of people think, well, is my information going out there? Is that going up to the cloud? Some does, but I think the badge of honor is all that AI and all that processing happening on device. So if they can achieve that with their current processors, then imagine what we're going to see in the next few years.
Frightening. Stephen, thank you for talking to Fear and Greed.
My pleasure. Thanks, Sean.
That was tech journalist Stephen Fenech, editor of techguide.com.au, TECHGUIDE, techguide.com.au. This is the Fear and Greed business interview. Join us every morning for the full episode of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Sean Aylmer. Enjoy your day.